I shielded my boyfriend from an out-of-control truck and became a vegetative state. When I woke up 3 years later, he was about to marry someone else. Unable to bear the blow, I jumped from a tall building. When I opened my eyes again, I was actually back 1 second before the car accident. This time, I didn't step forward. I did rehabilitation abroad for more than a year. Finally, I can eat by myself, dress myself, and walk independently without relying on any assistance. These simple little things for ordinary people are as difficult as reaching for the stars for me. Even the doctor said this is a medical miracle. After all, that car accident had put me into a deep coma for a full 3 years. Everyone thought I would never wake up. Or even if I woke up, I would become stupid and paralyzed. But not only did I wake up, but also during this year and more of rehabilitation, I got better and better. Even without standing for a long time, I can be no different from ordinary people. For this day, I endured the pain that ordinary people cannot bear and countless mental breakdowns. This day, I have been waiting for too long. I can finally pack my luggage and return to my country, ready to give Leo, who doesn't know I have woken up yet, a surprise. But when I endured the discomfort of a long flight and secretly returned to Leo's house, there were actually big and small red double happiness characters pasted all over it. The house was redecorated. A cat climbing frame that I designed myself reaching up to the roof was removed and replaced with a pink cabinet. My friends are blowing balloons. My classmates are hanging streamers. My aunt selected the roundest and fullest Lamian Essen peanuts and tried to arrange the 4 characters, give birth to a noble son soon, on the red dragon and phoenix bed. My boyfriend is wearing a well-tailored suit and is as exquisite as a dummy model in a store window. There is a wedding photo of a new couple hanging on the wall. That girl has a very sweet smile. At this moment, someone holding a cup of hot tea accidentally touched my arm. The hot water splashed on me and quickly burned a red mark. The person exclaimed. Then all the people looked at us. There was shock and joy in their eyes, and more embarrassment and helplessness. Ilani and S in my aunt's hand were not even held firmly and rolled all over the floor. All the laughter and chatter stopped abruptly at that moment. Leo's pupils constricted slightly. Soon, his face turned pale. He opened his mouth uncertainly, his voice trembling. Luna? I forced out an expression uglier than crying and didn't know if I should respond. Instinctively, my body took 2 steps back and then quickly ran out. Penang has entered autumn. The cold wind outside is piercing. There are some withered and fallen leaves piled up on both sides of the road. Stepping on it, the veins of the leaves break, and the sound is a bit harsh. Due to the after effects, I can't run fast. In just a short distance, I almost exhausted all my strength. Soon, a pair of arms stretched out from behind and tightly hugged my waist. Leo held me in his arms, and his whole body was trembling. You're back, Luna. I miss you so much. My tears fell on his expensive suit. I'm back. But it seems that everything can't go back. Leo went to that girl's house to break off the engagement. An hour before the wedding was to take place. My little aunt gently stroked my face, her eyes full of tears. Don't blame Leo. In these 4 years, he has suffered too much. If it weren't for that girl, he might not have survived. I felt a lump in my throat and my gaze fell on the corsage on her right chest. The delicate red rose had a same color ribbon hanging down below, with 3 words clearly written on it. Witness. My little aunt quickly covered the corsage with her hand. There was some embarrassment on her well-maintained face. Luna, Aunt is not betraying you. Aunt is just. I didn't expect you to wake up. At the end of the voice, it was so faint that it was almost inaudible. I swallowed the trace of blood in my mouth. At the moment when tears were about to overflow from my eyes, I said, I just returned to the country and need to adjust to the jet lag. I'll go to sleep first. Then, I broke free from her other hand and went back to my room alone. The quilt covered my entire face. Tears rolled down in large drops. I was in so much pain that I curled up. This nicking feeling is even 100 times more painful than the pain when I started rehabilitation. I even wondered if this was just a nightmare. Just like the kind of dream I often had when I first started rehabilitation. Dreaming that I will always be just a stupid and disabled person. I can never pick up a spoon. Saliva will flow out when I open my mouth. I will never learn to go to the toilet. I don't know how long it took. My quilt was pulled away. And there was a dent in the bed. I knew Leo was back. The air was terrifyingly silent. I finally couldn't help but slowly sit up and meet his gaze. 2 buttons on his shirt were worn off. His tie was in half. There were bluish-purple bruises on his face. And even his mouth was broken. Did they beat you? It's okay. This is what I deserve. I certainly understand. At this critical moment, the invitations have been sent out. The wedding banquet has been booked. If he breaks off the engagement temporarily, the bride's family will not let him go easily. If I hadn't come back tomorrow, they should have spoken their vows, exchanged rings, and completed the ceremony under the attention of everyone. Thinking of this, my fingertips were deeply embedded in the palm of my hand. My throat was sour. I still asked the question that had been buried in my heart all along. Leo, did you also think that I wouldn't come back? Leo pursed his lips and his eyes slightly lowered. After a long while, he slowly uttered a few words. Luna, I will accompany you. I will never leave you again. He didn't answer directly. But the sincere promise in his words pricked me even more painfully. At this moment, Leo's phone rang. He took out his phone. On the screen was a photo of him and that girl. The incoming call name was Darling Wife. The font was also set in a cartoon mode. Presumably it was the girl's doing. Darling Wife. What an affectionate address. Once upon a time, Leo had called me like that too. Noticing my gaze, Leo quickly clicked to reject the call. The person on the other end was not willing to give up and called one after another. Leo directly turned off his phone. Looking at me, he was somewhat apologetic. I'm sorry. She may need some more time. After a pause, he added, but don't worry. I will handle it well. How long have you been together? This unexpected question made Leo stunned for a moment. He tightly clutched his phone. His voice was a bit hoarse. For a year. I closed my eyes. For a year. Originally, when I was afraid that my ghastly appearance would scare him, and asked my brother to hide the news of my waking up. When I was learning to walk every day and was falling until my head was bleeding. When I was learning to speak and my tongue was bleeding from being rubbed by my teeth. When I couldn't unbutton my clothes and soiled my pants. When every time I was almost unable to hold on. But thinking that as long as I recovered, I could see him and gritted my teeth to persevere. He had fallen in love with someone else. 3 Leo's promise to always accompany me was not fulfilled. He only accompanied me for one day before hurriedly leaving because that girl was sick. Before leaving, he still vowed to me that he was just going to take a look. After making sure she was okay, he would completely cut off all ties with her. However, this one trip lasted for a week. Despondent, I packed up the things he gave me when we were in love before and prepared to return them to him. I am not cheap. I am not pitiful enough to beg for love from a man. I am not stupid either. If he really had the intention to inquire, even if I deliberately asked my brother to hide it, he wouldn't not know that I had woken up for a year. I always made excuses for him. He is very busy. The air ticket is very expensive. The journey is very far. He has parents to take care of. In the end, even I was tired. So this time, it's me who doesn't want him anymore. Just as I was holding these things and going out to prepare to mail them, Leo's current girlfriend actually took the initiative to come to my door. She was wearing a loose dress and was holding a handbag printed with the words Maternal and Child Health Hospital. Seeing me staring at the bag in astonishment, she gently stroked her stomach and smiled. Leo and I almost got married. Don't you think we didn't do anything? Senior? That one address of Senior, broke through my sealed memories. This familiar-looking girl in front of me was actually Vivian, a junior who had been sticking to Leo during my and Leo's college days. No wonder my aunt would become their witness. She and Vivian's father were lovers when they were young. Are you trying to bind Leo with old feelings? She tilted her head, looking innocent. Then she took out a pull tab from the cardboard box I was holding. That was the token of our love during my and Leo's student days. He said he would give me a real dime and ring in the future. Unfortunately, the diamond ring ended up on someone else's hand. Don't be silly. He is extremely happy to know that he has become a father. She threw the pull tab on the ground like throwing away garbage. Then she leaned close to my ear and said, "Let me tell you another secret. In fact, Leo and I have had feelings for each other for a long time. 4 years ago, on the day you had a car accident, he was originally going to break up with you. At that moment, it seemed that all the blood in my body had solidified. I remembered Leo's hesitation that day and also remembered his indifference for years. It turned out that my self-proclaimed infatuation and selfless dedication had all been making wedding dresses for others. When I turned around, Vivian deliberately knocked the cardboard box out of my hand with her elbow. The various things inside spilled all over the ground. Seeing my lost and dejected appearance, the triumph on her face couldn't be concealed, as if telling me, "Look, in the end, it's still her." Who would have thought that when she was backing up, she accidentally stepped on a crystal bracelet? Immediately, her body swayed and she fell on the steps. Blood gushed out from between her legs instantly. She was so frightened that her face lost all color, and she called me a murderer. Leo, who had heard the commotion and rushed over, pushed me so that I staggered. "Luna, how could you be so cruel?" Although my heart was completely dead, I was not polite either. I slapped Leo across the face. "I am not as disgusting as you two." Vivian's family called the police and threatened to send me to prison. My aunt looked at me with a strange look in her eyes and couldn't wait to draw a clear line for me immediately. My friends and classmates, upon hearing of this incident, secretly called me a deranged lunatic. But soon, the investigation results came out. The surveillance camera with recording function at my door clearly recorded Vivian's arrogant and disgusting face. Her fall and miscarriage were completely her own fault. On the day Leo apologized to me, I stood on the rooftop and looked up at the stars. Once a sky full of stars that could be seen just by looking up can now only be a few sporadic ones. Everything has changed unknowingly. Luna, I was wrong. I shouldn't have not believed you. Come down, please. My aunt also rushed over. Luna, Aunt is sorry for you. Don't do anything stupid. You see, when you start to loathe this world, the whole world comes to love you again. I wandered on the edge of the rooftop, like a precarious fallen leaf. Leo knelt in front of me, his head bleeding from knocking. He said he loved me over and over again. I was really rather tired. During this year of rehabilitation, problems also arose in my mental health. At severe times, I could only barely fall asleep with the help of medication. At that time, I naively thought that Leo would be my salvation. Little did I know that he would push me into an even deeper abyss. I lost for wonderful years, lost my health, lost the ability to love, lost my studies, and became disconnected from society. I will never be okay again. I spread my arms, allowing the autumn wind to pass through my hair. Yet my heart was surprisingly calm. As I fell backward, I looked at Leo and said, "I curse you to never obtain true love." Unexpectedly, with that leap from the rooftop, I actually returned to the day of the car accident 4 years ago. The young Leo stood in front of me with his head hung low. He stammered as he began to speak. "Luna, actually I want to break up with me, right?" The familiar scene replayed, and I couldn't help but say the words that he had been holding back in his heart for him. He suddenly looked up, looking at me in shock. "You cheated on me. The person is Vivian. Based on your abnormal behavior during this period, you've been having an affair for at least 3 months. After a pause, I let out a long breath. I agree. Those few casually spoken words were as if I were talking about someone else's business. Leo became agitated and argued. I didn't cheat. I don't know where you heard these things from, but I have never betrayed you. I just. His voice grew softer. Feel that we're not very suitable. How ridiculous. Leo pursued me for a year. We've been together for 4 years. Only now does he think we're not suitable. I let out a cold laugh. The bells are not far away, chimed 8 o'clock. Snowflakes began to fall from the sky. The traffic light at the intersection flashed twice, and then went completely dark. Everything was the same as in my past life. Leo. I originally wanted to give you a chance. If you had admitted boldly that you liked someone else, I would have respected and blessed you. Unfortunately, you don't even have the courage to admit your own mistakes. I took a step back and looked at him pitifully. Leo at 20 years old, young and full of vitality. But his nature is so despicable. It took me a whole lifetime to understand. At this moment, the sound of tires rubbing on the ground came from not far away. 2 headlights shone over, so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. A large truck was driving straight towards me. The Leo on the opposite side was so scared that he fled backward, fearing that he would be implicated. However, the truck that was heading towards me suddenly hit a stone pier. The body of the truck tilted. With a sharp turn, it drove in Leo's direction again. With a loud bang, a figure fell in response. The world was completely silent. A smear of bright red color flowed out on the pure white snow. A tear fell from my eye. If Leo had rushed towards me as selflessly as I did towards him in my past life, then the truck would only hit the opposite wall. Both of us would be unharmed. What a pity. My Leo, the young man I loved when I was age not specified, didn't even glance at me. Leo was lifted onto an ambulance. I picked up the phone that had been left on the snow. Coincidentally, a message came in. Just a minute ago, Vivian had impatiently sent a group photo of her kissing Leo. The caption read, "You finally belong only to me." Many people below offered blessings. Among them were Leo's brothers, who used to call me sister-in-law. Only my brother from my blended family commented, "In these times, are those without shame so blatant?" But soon, the comment was deleted. In the early years, my father and stepmother both died in an accident. My aunt took more than half of our family's compensation money. It was Max who protected me and watched me grow up, even in order to support me in going to college. He dropped out of high school and stopped studying. During that year of rehabilitation abroad, he was also with me. I dialed Max's number. There was a lot of noise on the other end. At present, Max is not yet the future computer tycoon. He is just a little helper who guards places for others. My nose soured. Max, I miss you. Max borrowed a dilapidated pickup truck and braved the howling wind and snow to come see me across more than half of the city. The first thing he said was, "Luna, don't cry. If you still like Leo, I have a way to make him break up with that mistress." When he said this, his eyes were full of fierceness, as if he could roll up his sleeves at any moment and give that cheating man and that vile woman a good beating. My heart warmed. I remember in my past life, when I woke up from a deep coma, the first person I saw was him. He taught me to eat, taught me to talk, and accompanied me on walks. He never disliked that I might dirty my clothes. He would even wipe my drool. The hospital nurses secretly laughed at me, saying that no matter how beautiful I was, it was useless. Since I couldn't even take care of myself, I would never get married. He even went out and quarreled with them, saying that even if my younger sister couldn't get married for her whole life, as her elder brother, he could still support her. During that dark period, he was almost my only spiritual pillar. Now that I think about it, salvation was by my side all along, so why be so stubborn in chasing someone who is simply not worth it? Fortunately, in this life, I didn't block the truck for Leo. I am still healthy. Everything is still a new beginning. This time it's me who doesn't want him anymore. I jumped into Max's car and smiled firmly. Go to Leo's house. I'm moving. When it's over. It should be over completely. The car quickly arrived at Leo's house. An entire wall was filled with large and small trophies I had won from dancing. I still remember how excitedly I planned everything here when I first moved my things into his house. I wanted to keep a pot of bird of paradise on the balcony. The carpet should be white. I wanted to buy an air fryer. And have a makeup table. At that time, I naively thought that this would be my home for life. I slowly put these things into cardboard boxes and wiped away my traces bit by bit. Then I closed the door and deposited the key with the property management. After doing all this, I suddenly felt extremely comfortable. Cutting losses in time. This is a lesson I learned in a lifetime. Just then, Leo's brother sent me a message. Sister-in-law. Leo had a car accident. His right leg was amputated below the knee. The location is... I didn't even finish reading the rest of the words and directly blacklisted that person. Sister-in-law? This blessing can be given to Vivian. After the weekend, I went to school as usual. The entire department was talking about two things. The first one is that I was cheated on by Leo and Vivian. The second one is that Leo is disabled. There's a third one. My roommate Serene came up to me. She knows everything. No wind blowing in the entire school can escape her ears. Vivian went to the hospital to see Leo. After learning that he was amputated, she was so scared that she almost fainted. As soon as Leo woke up, she proposed breaking up, saying that she is still young and impossible to spend her whole life with a disabled person. TSK. Breaking up on the day of the official announcement. Even the moments were deleted. Serene sneered and then looked at me. Luna, it's good that you ran away quickly. Otherwise, that scumbag would have dragged you down for a lifetime. I stared at my toes and didn't speak. Physically disabled. Abandoned by the beloved. A great life ruined. This kind of taste. It's time for him to experience it himself. More than a month passed like this. I am getting more and more used to school life. Not only did I successfully catch up with my academic performance and rank first in the entire department, but I also received a considerable scholarship. Just when I was sending a message to Max to share my joy, a message suddenly popped up in the group, saying that Leo was about to be discharged from the hospital. Everyone wanted to hold a party to celebrate his recovery and discharge from the hospital, and at the same time cheer him up and tell him to cheer up sooner. I thought to myself, his leg is gone. What's there to celebrate? Immediately after, several photos of ordered flowers and fruit baskets were sent in the group. Leo's brothers also didn't forget to me in the group. Sister-in-law. Leo has been in the hospital for more than a month, and we haven't seen you come. You must come on the day of his discharge. There was also a hospital location attached below. A blatant hint. Have they forgotten how they said they were a perfect match and congratulated under the comments on the day Vivian officially announced being with Leo? How come when the new sister-in-law runs away, they think of me? The old sister-in-law again? Just as I was about to reply, Serene sent a string of voice messages. You the wrong person. Right? Luna. The ex-girlfriend who was broken up with. Can't bear your address of sister-in-law. The group was quiet for a minute. Soon someone replied. Leo is like this. What's there to fuss about the past? Fuss? Sure enough. They are all birds of a feather. What do you know? Leo just lost a leg. Luna lost her love. I was full of emotion. Thank you. Serene. My mouthpiece on the internet. 6. I didn't hold back either. After scolding those people all over, I quit the group. I don't even want to deal with Leo, let alone his group of friends who can't tell right from wrong and have warped values. Serene privately messaged me, praising me for being cool and rational, and also said that she was afraid I would be soft-hearted. How could it be? The events of my previous life are still vivid in my mind. I'm not so saintly to that extent. The matter in the group came to an end. On this day, I made an appointment with Max to have a meal. But his phone couldn't be reached all the time. My right eyelid kept twitching. So I had to call his supervisor. Only then did I learn that in the afternoon, there were drunk customers making trouble in the store. He was injured while maintaining order, and went to the hospital. I hurried to the hospital. Since I couldn't contact him, I could only search blindly like a headless fly. Unexpectedly, I didn't find Max but accidentally ran into Leo. It's been a long time. He was sitting in a wheelchair. His cheeks were sunken and his face was pale. On his right leg, only the part above the knee was left. The dark pants hung down, leaving only an empty pant leg. When he saw me, he reached out and pulled the blanket on his leg to cover the missing part. His voice was a little excited. "Luna, you came to see me?" "Huh?" I didn't expect to run into him here. The wheelchair wobbled in front of me. Leo tightly grasped my hand, and his dry lips moved. "They all said you couldn't come." I didn't believe it. "We have had 4 years of relationship." "I knew it. You can't forget me. You still worry about me." I couldn't help but think of all kinds of things in my previous life, and also remembered his hesitation on the day of breaking up and his cowardice when danger came. A chill ran through my heart. Just then, Max walked by from the front. I pried Leo's fingers off one by one. With a blank expression, I said, "You're thinking too much. I'm not here to see you. I'm looking for my brother." After saying that, regardless of Leo's ashen face, I ran straight to Max. In this world, the only person I care about is him. Just him. At this time, Leo's friends came to pick him up from the hospital with fruit baskets and flowers. One of them had sharp eyes. "Isn't that Luna?" I knew it. She said she wouldn't come. But in fact, she still can't let go of brother Leo. But who is the man beside her? They seem quite close. I was only concerned about the injury on Max's face. After making sure he was fine, I pulled him and left here. I hate the smell of disinfectant in the hospital and those people. Hey? Why did she leave? No way? Really not waiting for brother Leo? Someone exclaimed in surprise. At this time, a gaze stabbed at my back. Looking out of the corner of my eye, Leo had a gloomy face and his fists were tightly clenched. Leo doesn't like Max. When we weren't together yet, he had told me that he didn't like the way Max looked at me. Now that Leo has broken a leg and is in great pain both physically and mentally. But all I can see is the person he doesn't like. He must be heartbroken at this moment. But I don't bother to care what he thinks. I don't have the intention to retaliate against him either. I just said righteously to the people around me, "Max, quit your job." I probably don't have the patience to wait for Max to succeed following the trajectory of his previous life. I can't bear to see him get hurt at all. My scholarship can fully support myself. I don't want you to work so hard. A nightclub is full of all kinds of people. People who drink and cause trouble are everywhere every day. Fortunately today, there are only 2 stitches on the forehead. I don't know what will happen next time. What does a kid know? It's just that the dressing looks scarier. In fact, it doesn't hurt at all. He tried to change the topic with a relaxed atmosphere. But before he could finish speaking, I hugged him. He is thin and hugs him feels uncomfortable. "Max, when I knew you were in the hospital, I thought of all the worst possible outcomes. If something happens to you again, I will really go crazy." My voice couldn't help but choke. In my previous life, I was not so lucky. My lover abandoned me and my relatives betrayed me. Only this brother without blood relationship never gave up on me. I was not very promising. I survived 3 years on sickbed and 1 year of rehabilitation. But I didn't survive the 12 days after returning to the country. Since I can start over. In the past, he took care of me. Now I will take care of him. The sudden hug made Max's chest tense. After a long time, he patted my head. "Impertinent. Call me brother." Always with an imposing manner. After a pause, his voice softened. "Well, Brother is obedient. 7. When I returned to the dormitory at night, I used my saved scholarship to buy a computer online and gave it to Max. I know Max is a genius in this field. In the near future, he will use his talent to achieve remarkable results in the field of computers. In my previous life, while taking care of me who was in a coma, he worked at the same time, which made him extremely exhausted. In this life, I will try my best to remove his worries and help him succeed early. At this time, a strange phone call suddenly came in. After answering, there was no one speaking on the other end. Only shallow breathing could be heard. I said hello several times and was about to hang up when a hoarse voice said, "When did you move out? Why didn't you tell me?" It was actually Leo. "You didn't take the key either. Are you not planning to come back?" Ridiculous. If I don't move out, will I stay there for the new year? Leo. We broke up. I kindly reminded him. It was you who didn't want me. There was a long silence on the other end. Just when I was about to hang up the phone, he said, "I regret it." Regret it? Is it really regret? Or was he ruthlessly abandoned by Vivian and then remembered my goodness? So what? So, can you come back? No. I refused resolutely. I am not a dog that wags its tail and goes back when others beckon. Although my childhood experience made me lack love and extremely insecure, but I still have some backbone. At the moment I knew he was cheating on me. In my heart, he was completely dead. I hung up the phone neatly and put the number into the blacklist. After a hard 1-second chance at life, no one can disgust me. The next day, I went to the cafeteria for breakfast with Serene. During this period, she was always hesitant to speak and not in a good state. The porridge in the bowl was almost stirred into mud. I saw that she had something on her mind, and asked the reason. After hesitating for a long time, she looked at my face carefully and said, "I got a piece of news. Leo took a lot of sleeping pills and was sent to the hospital yesterday." After finishing speaking, she grabbed her hair. "Sorry. I know I shouldn't have said it. But I also think you should know." My movement of drinking soy milk paused and I said inferently, "Is he dead?" Serene shook her head. "No. He was rescued in time. He should still be in the hospital now." I took a sip of soy milk. "If he dies, count me in if everyone wants to collect money to buy a wreath. If he doesn't die, then don't tell me about his affairs anymore in the future. This is just the beginning." Sleeping pills. Intentionally setting fire to oneself. Rushing into the middle of the road and even finally jumping off the rooftop in utter despair. None of what I have experienced is 1,000 times, 10,000 times more painful than what he has gone through. Compared to my 4 years of living worse than death. What is this to him? After learning about this incident, I went to classes and went to the library to read as usual. I was completely unfazed inside. Leo taking pills also spread in a small scope within the department. Seeing my overly calm performance, people in the class secretly called me heartless. Am I heartless? Compared to Vivian, who immediately drew a clear line as soon as she learned that Leo had his leg amputated. I, as an ex-girlfriend who was cheated on but never spoke ill of my ex, am simply an angel. Okay? 2 days passed like this. The president of the dance club pulled me to buy props for the club. After getting in the car, I only then realized that the driver was the president's boyfriend and also Leo's good brother Finn. I didn't want to have anything to do with people related to Leo anymore, but I didn't make a scene because of the president's face. Who knew that when the car was halfway there, it suddenly deviated from the route and wound its way to Leo's house. Looking at the familiar building outside, I said with a solemn expression, "What do you mean by this?" The president looked at Finn beside her guiltily. Fine was straightforward. "For my brother. Sister-in-law. Excuse me." After saying that, he grabbed my wrist without hesitation and dragged and pulled me upstairs. As soon as I entered the entrance hall, there was a sound of things breaking. Vivian's crying came. "Leo. Wasn't I clear enough that day? It's impossible for me to be with a cripple. And I already have a new boyfriend now. If you keep pestering me like this, my boyfriend will be unhappy. Goodness. Truly worthy of being Leo's good brothers. To cheer him up, they tied up 2 sister-in-laws in a row. Finn's face was also a bit awkward. At this time, there was another coughing sound from inside. It was Leo's voice. Get out. Liking you before was the stupidest thing I've ever done. As soon as the words fell, Vivian couldn't wait to run out. When she saw me, she bit her lip, glared at me viciously and said, "Watch your boyfriend. When he had legs, he was her boyfriend. When he has no legs, he becomes my boyfriend?" I was so angry that my chest felt stuffy. At this time, Finn pulled me into the living room. He ran out before me and locked the door from the outside. Despicable person. Our commotion alerted Leo in front. He was facing away from me, and thought I was Vivian who had returned. So he angrily said, "Didn't I tell you to get out? If you tell me to get out, then open the door for me." Leo's body stiffened. He turned his wheelchair and turned around. After not seeing him for a few days, he was shockingly haggard. His hair was messy. There were obvious dark circles under his eyes. There were long and short green stubbles on his chin. His cheeks were deeply sunken. His whole face was pale and without any color. When our eyes met, he anxiously reached for the blanket draped over the back of the chair, trying to cover the mutilation of his right leg. But before he could take off the blanket, he fell heavily from the wheelchair. There was a painful expression on his face. After struggling for a few times, he still couldn't climb back onto the wheelchair. He was so anxious that he kept pounding the ground with his hands. Tears burst out unwillingly from the bottom of his eyes. Leo used to be the main force of the high school basketball team. After entering college, he won various awards large and small on behalf of the school. How glorious he used to be. Now he is so miserable. I stood there expressionlessly and looked at him. There was not a single ripple in my heart. He doesn't deserve my sympathy. I won't help him either. Just like in those for years. He never came to see me either. At this time, Max called me. Just before getting off the car, I sent out a distress signal to him. Now, he should be outside the door. I told Max that I was locked in the room. After confirming that I was okay, he directly picked up the fire extinguisher in the corridor and started smashing the door crazily. Just when the door lock was about to be smashed by Max, Leo, disregarding his dignity, quickly crawled to my feet, reached out and grabbed my pant leg. With red eyes, he said, "Luna, it hurts. Does it hurt?" I took 2 steps back and looked at him coldly. "You deserve it." The door opened with a bang. Max outside rushed in and grabbed my shoulder. "Are you okay?" I shook my head and was about to leave with him. Leo propped himself up on the coffee table and tried to support his body but failed. He could only say to my back, "I was wrong about what happened before. I shouldn't have done something wrong to you. Luna, don't hate me. Okay?" I didn't look back. Not just hate. It's simply disgusting. After leaving the hall, the bruised and swollen Finn was lying on the ground groaning in pain. The president was so scared that she was about to cry. Looking at this situation, Max must have hit hard when he hit Finn. I wasn't polite either. When passing by Finn, I kicked him again. The president cried even louder. Leo is certainly unforgivable. But Finn who engages in moral kidnapping is even more detestable. Max drove me back to school and comforted me not to be afraid. He rented a house near the school for the convenience of taking care of and protecting me in the future. He also gave me all the money he earned from making mini-program games. It was several times the amount of money I gave him to buy a computer at that time. He touched my head. "Luna, life will be better in the future. With me here, no one can bully you." I nodded. In the evening, the president came to find me and said that Finn was in the hospital. She also said that they were just helping out of kindness because they felt sorry for Leo. Even if they didn't inform me in advance, they shouldn't have hit Finn so hard. If your boyfriend is ambiguous with other girls behind your back, cheats on you, and breaks up with you when you are seriously planning your future, he even blames you for the mistakes, will you forgive him? If your boyfriend is involved in a car accident and loses his leg, after being dumped by other girls, he comes to you, will you forgive him? The club president bit her lip and didn't speak. If you can't, why do you ask me to be able to? In the end, the club president apologized to me. Another half a month passed, and Leo actually came back to school, perhaps out of pride. He didn't use a wheelchair. He came to class on crutches. But on the first day he came, the weather was bad. It had just snowed in the early morning, and the road was extremely slippery. When he saw me, he pretended to be relaxed and wanted to greet me. But just as he raised his hand, he fell into the snow. Kind classmates passing by helped him up. Seeing that the right trouser leg of him was empty, they directly carried him on their backs. They also kindly asked him which classroom he was going to. At that moment, the forced strength and the remaining dignity on Leo's face collapsed. With a grayish face, he said no need. But the kind classmate took it as his being embarrassed. When he arrived in the classroom, he chose to sit in the last row. Leo was once a prominent figure in the school. Almost everyone in the large lectures knew him. Several girls in the front row frequently turned back and even lowered their bodies to deliberately look at his leg. Those who cheat will be struck by lightning. With only one leg left, he can't cheat even if he wants to. Leo lowered his eyes in embarrassment. He heard it. The next class is physical education. Because the snow outside has not been completely cleared, the teacher chose to have class in the gymnasium. I took physical education as an elective. After finishing practicing, I went to get water to drink, but unexpectedly met Leo sitting in the audience stands. His gaze was fixed on the people playing basketball not far away, and his hand unconsciously grabbed the pants of his right leg. Leo is a natural basketball player. He once fought for the school for 3 consecutive years and won many trophies. Unfortunately, he can never play basketball again. After I drank water, I was about to leave. A voice sounded from behind me. If I had chosen to save you when the truck hit, would everything be different? I didn't reply. Even if he was given another chance, he wouldn't come to save me. Selfish people are always selfish. It's just that because the price is too painful, he only thinks of regretting now. At this time, a burst of silvery laughter came from beside. Leo and I looked in the direction of the sound and saw Vivian smiling and hiding in a boy's arms. The boy also kissed her ear. Leo turned his head away with an ugly expression. It's only been 2 months, and Vivian already has a new love. Right. Who can love one person wholeheartedly and never change their heart for a lifetime? Except for that fool in the previous life who pushed his lover away without hesitation and let himself be hit by a car. I turned to leave. Suddenly, Leo behind me got up and grabbed my hand. Luna, can you give me another chance? His voice was choked. I shouldn't have misjudged people and cheated on Vivian. Only now do I realize that I only love you. I pulled my hand out. In his hopeful gaze, I faintly curved the corners of my mouth. Unfortunately, I don't love you anymore. Not only don't I love you, but I also feel disgusted for having loved you before. Leo staggered a few steps and almost fell to the ground. The next day Leo took a leave of absence from school. The person who once stood on the clouds still couldn't accept falling into the dirt in the end. Time quickly came to the day of the college dance competition. In my previous life, I filled out the registration form and prepared to participate. Unfortunately, before the competition came, I became a vegetative state due to a car accident. Even if I recovered in the end, I could never dance again. This became a permanent pain and regret in my heart. So this time, I prepared an original Chinese-style dance and rehearsed carefully for a long time. The performance was very successful. I was surrounded by flowers and applause after a long absence. I also won the first prize on behalf of the school. After the competition, I was holding the trophy and preparing to find Max to celebrate. But I unexpectedly encountered Leo, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. He didn't know where he got the news and was waiting outside the theater early. He was also holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand, awkwardly turning the wheelchair. He then presented it with both hands. I promised you before that if you could win an award in this competition, I would buy a bouquet of red roses for you. Congratulations, Luna. You finally got what you wanted. Leo is thinner than before. His eye sockets are deeply sunken. Even saying a word seems to require him to catch his breath for a long time. But even if he appears in front of me in a miserable state and mentions the things he promised before, it still can't move my heart. I straightened my back. Without even looking at him, I went down the steps with the crowd. The most unfeeling response is never rejection, but ignoring. Soon, New Year's Eve arrived. Max and I decorated our small rental house beautifully. We watched the New Year's Eve party on TV together. Half a month ago, I was invited by a certain satellite TV station to dance for the New Year's Eve party. It was recorded. It will be broadcast today. I was watching sketches and eating dumplings wrapped by Max. He was concentrating on waiting for me to appear. Finally, it was my turn to appear. Max's eyes lit up. He even rewound it, recorded it, and downloaded it to his phone to watch repeatedly. It was almost 12 o'clock. The host in the program was counting down. When it counted to 1, my phone rang. It was a text message sent from an unfamiliar number. Luna, congratulations on finally becoming the person you want to be. I'm truly happy for you. I directly pulled the number into the blacklist. I can tell who it is without even thinking. After graduating from senior year, I smoothly entered the most famous dance troupe in the capital. Max's company is also on the right track. On my birthday, he took out a passbook with many zeros on it. This money is enough for us to buy a house of our own. Luna, I said I wouldn't let you live a drifting and helpless life anymore. I did it. It's not enough yet. I shook my head. In Max's surprised eyes, I stretched out my left hand. There is still a dime and ring missing. Max cried and laughed at the same time. Like a lunatic. I thought you didn't know my thoughts. Fool. If you truly love someone, how could you not know? My wedding with Max came soon. There weren't many people invited, but they were all friends who had sincerely helped me over the years. Serene was in tears when Max and I exchanged rings. She said, Luna, you deserve the best happiness in the world. At the end of the ceremony, I held a wine glass and toasted the guests. Unexpectedly, I saw a familiar figure in the crowd. When our eyes met, that person fled in panic. I didn't care. I held Max's hand. The next day, a local headline broke news. A disabled man fell from a high building and died on the spot. Unfortunately,